Now, the next guy on here, Terry McLaurin, similar to, as we were just talking about, being dealt a shit quarterback hand with DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin's only played with awful QBs. This year, I think, is easily going to be the best he's ever played with, whether it's Sam Howell or it's Jacoby Brissett. A lot of people, Jacoby Brissett, receiver killer. We talked about how Amari Cooper, 45% of his games came in the top 12. Jacoby Brissett loves to funnel to his number one. So if he wins it out, great. And if not, we saw Terry McLaurin put up 18 points in his only game with Sam Howell, who I think has a rope, who has a lot of untapped upside. And I think Eric Bieniemy coming in there from the Chiefs offense, a pass-happy mind, pass-happy system. And we know Ron Rivera loves to air it and roll the dice here. I think this offense is going to take it to another gear. Regardless, I think Howell will be that QB. And I think Terry McLaurin will finally show, every time we watch the guy play, elite talent. Now he can have enough. I don't love the quarterbacks that are throwing to him, but I think it will be enough to finally get it done and vault this guy to that true every week wide receiver 2 that you can depend on. Right after him, I'm actually 10 spots higher than the ECR on Marquise Brown. And to me, it doesn't make any sense why people aren't higher on him. Yeah, Kyler Murray could be hurt, but honestly, the passing game, a lot of these weapons had better games when Colt McCoy was thrown because Kyler Murray does so much damage himself, soaks in so many touchdowns and big plays. Regardless, Brown without Hopkins last year, 10.7 targets per game, wide receiver 5, 18.3 fantasy points per game, wide receiver 7 there. He had 3 of 6 games above 20 fantasy points without Hopkins to begin the year, and ultimately saw 6, 11, 17, 11, 10, and 9 targets. Played a ton of slot, showed his versatility. In fact, he led the NFL in yards per route run out of the slot. Big fan of Marquise Brown, big fan of his game. I think the targets are just going to be showered on him regardless of who is throwing that ball. Moving forward, Drake London, some people are definitely higher on him than me. There's 2 things I really like and a few concerns. The concern, run heaviest team in the league, and they had jack shit at running back. Then you go add Bijan Robinson, the best running back prospect since maybe even AP here, to come in. They're going to be pounding the rock. First down, second down, and if they can, third down. We've seen Arthur Miller do that when he had Derrick Henry, and I think Bijan Robinson will be his new centerpiece. Even still, London had a great rapport with Desmond Ridder in their games together last year. It was only 4 of them, and we saw London kind of get phased out of the offense, not do much, and then Ridder comes in and revives his late season stretch. 14.57 PPR points per game would have been right in that top 20 cusp, was on pace for 149 targets, 106 catches, 1,415 yards. He was putting up 14.57 points per game and didn't score a single touchdown with Desmond Ridder throwing him the rock. So that's pretty damn stable. If that's the floor, if you can add some touchdowns to that, I'm all in for Drake London having himself a nice sophomore campaign. 26 is a guy I am not ending up with very often because he goes right at Drake London. He goes right around Marquise Brown. In fact, often 7 to 8 picks ahead of Marquise Brown. So I don't have a ton of Christian Kirk, but he had a great debut here with the Jaguars, finishing as the wide receiver 12 in total PPR points, 15th in targets, 14th receptions, 13th in receiving yards. Really, really solid year. Right around 50% of his games were top 24. The rub, though, of course, is how big of a hit is Calvin Ridley going to cause here? We know Peterson likes to spread it out. We already have the reports that this offense is at a whole new level with Calvin Ridley, at a different level than any other receiver on the field. So I like Kirk, but I think he's going to move from a kind of 1A role to a clear-cut distant, nice slot weapon, but a definite distant number 2 on the target totem pole. A lot of mouths to feed here, so that worries me just a bit, especially for a play caller that likes to spread the rock. And rounding out this show and my tier 5 here is Chris Godwin. And coming off an ACL tear was definitely not himself. You saw him laboring around the field, shockingly returned to the field for week 1 and then got hurt and was dinged up and just never really looked like himself until maybe that second half of the season. We saw him start getting some glimpses of the guy that we've always known and loved. And even still laboring through that early part of the season, he finished in 6th in receptions, 10th in total targets, was the wide receiver 14 and fantasy points per game. But when he hit that groove late, week 10 on, was the wide receiver 8 in fantasy points per game. It looked like the Godwin of old. And now he's already come out and said it's a night and day difference in reference to this offseason compared to last. I feel like a lot of my explosion is back. I feel very comfortable with the things that I'm working on. It's very good to be back, have the opportunity to work on my skill as opposed to just rehabbing an injury. And we've seen that time and time again, that ability to focus on the playbook, focused on building that rapport and not focused on rehabbing an injury goes a very long way for these players. So Godwin, a player that wide receiver 2, 15, 6, and 14 in points per game these last 4 seasons, it's easy to buy right back into him, especially right now, going mid to late round 5. I know it's not Tom Brady anymore, but Baker likes to dink and dunk it. I think Godwin will definitely be a nice safety blanket for him over there. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.